So I recently posted a video on the best Valor Surges in Forbbiden West, and it seems like a lot of people found it pretty informative and helpful. As I mentioned in that video, the new skill tree in Forbbiden West can definitely be a little overwhelming and confusing, and I think that complexity has led a lot of people to underutilize special skills like Valor Surges, or even outright not use them at all. So I hope that video helped you guys understand what Valor Surges are all about, and which ones you should focus on. If you haven't seen the Valor Surge video, I'll link it at the end of this one, but Valor Surges are actually only half the story. Weapon techniques are the other half, and while I'm guessing people are using weapon techniques a little more than Valor Surges, I also have a hunch that weapon techniques are a little bit confusing for many of you. At the very least, it can be hard to figure out which ones are the best when we have 9 different weapon types and a total of 23 weapon techniques to pick from. So yeah, that's a lot of choices to sift through, but you guys are in luck because I've tested them all, and in this video we're going to cover each of the best weapon techniques for every weapon type. But before we talk weapon techniques, I first want to thank you guys because we recently passed 1,000 subscribers and we did it in about 3 months, which I feel like is pretty fast. I can't thank you guys enough for all your support and helping me get here so quickly. Special thanks to you if you're one of the 1,000 plus people currently subscribed, but I also want to give an extra special thanks to a few of you who have been leaving me such awesome and encouraging comments for a long time, like Sunny, Furious Styles, Reaper, Plusle, Sam Green, Special Week, Football Asylum, Aries, and everyone else who's been leaving supportive comments recently. I really appreciate the kind things you guys have been saying and the tips you've added for other people to benefit from. Now, I also know there's plenty of people who don't like to leave comments, and I want you guys to know that as much as I'd love to interact with you too, I know some people just don't like to comment, and that's okay. I still really appreciate you guys. Finally, I want to recognize all the viewers who aren't subscribed. Even if I haven't earned your subscription yet, I still really appreciate you visiting my channel and watching my videos, even if this is your very first one. So here's to all of you for growing this community. If you'd like to dive deeper into the community, I'd love to have you join us over on the Discord server, and you can follow me on Twitter as well. Links will be in the description. I'm really looking forward to seeing where we can take this channel together. So with that said, let's get into the video. Okay, so first, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about what weapon techniques are and how to use them. First off, weapon techniques are simply a type of skill you can find in the skill tree. You can tell them apart from other skill types by their inverted diamond shape, which, if you have a sharp eye, you'll notice is actually an upside down version of the Valor Surge icon. Just like any other skill, you can unlock a weapon technique by spending skill points on it. Once you have one unlocked, it will show up in the middle of your weapon wheel for the weapon it corresponds to. For example, here we can see I have the triple notch skill available to use on each of my hunter bows. For any given weapon, you can only have one weapon technique equipped at a time, but you can easily change which one is equipped by hitting left and right on the D-pad while your weapon wheel is open. You can even change a weapon's equip technique mid-fight, but it's pretty awkward to do that, so I think most of us are going to pick a weapon technique for each weapon and leave it on that one pretty much all the time. It's also worth noting that you can set different weapons of the same type to use different weapon techniques. For example, if I have 2 hunter bows in my inventory, I can set one to use triple notch and the other to use knockdown shot. Now, to actually use a weapon technique, you hold L2 like you normally would to aim, but instead of using R2 to draw, you instead hit R1 to use the weapon technique. So that's physically how you trigger it, but it's also important to know that weapon techniques are fueled by the gold weapon stamina bar in the bottom right above the purple Valor Surge bar. This means you can't use weapon techniques indefinitely, so it's a good idea to train yourself to keep an eye on how much weapon stamina you have at any given time. Stamina does automatically regenerate, and the regeneration speed can be boosted by skills, outfits, and outfit weaves, but even a fully upgraded stamina bar won't allow you to use weapon techniques indefinitely, so you'll need to learn how to manage your stamina intelligently. Okay, so now that we all understand weapon techniques and how to use them, let's check out which ones are the best. To start us off, I want to take a look at the best weapon technique for your hunter bows. I would say hunter bows are pretty much everyone's primary weapon for applying elemental effects like freeze, and many of us rely on hunter bows for tearing off components as well as dealing raw damage with advanced hunter arrows. For both of those reasons, I think the clear choice here is triple notch, which you can find on the left side of the hunter branch. Triple notch allows you to load and fire up to 3 arrows on a hunter bow at once, which basically means you can triple the damage output of your shot, and that applies to all damage types, including raw impact damage, tear, and elemental damage. If you're coming from Zero Dawn, then you know this skill is pretty much a staple. One of the most effective ways to use triple notch is to preload 3 arrows before heading into a fight, so you're ready to fire off a powerful shot straight away. Now, you can only do this for a single ammo type on each hunter bow, but you can preload arrows on multiple hunter bows. This can be great for stringing together a chain of powerful shots. For example, here I've preloaded 3 Purge Water arrows so I can drench this Thunderjaw quickly, and then I also have 3 Frost arrows preloaded so when I switch over to them, I can start freezing it as fast as possible. Triple notch is also very useful for dealing increased direct and tear damage with a triple shot of regular or advanced hunter arrows. Now, as much as I like triple notch, I also think the knockdown shot weapon technique is kind of slept on by many of us. This technique allows you to fire off a shot that has a high chance of causing a machine to be knocked down and briefly stunned. When a machine is knocked Knockdown, it's an excellent opportunity to deal easy damage to weak points or tear off components. Knockdown Shot essentially offers a much more reliable way to force this to happen, even with the biggest machines, which I think makes it a really useful weapon technique. For example, with machines like Slaughter Spines and Thunderjaws, you can typically knock them down in 2 or 3 shots. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, you can only have one weapon technique equipped at a time, and it can be difficult to switch between techniques mid-fight, so I don't end up using Knockdown Shot as much as I'd like. One strategy for utilizing it is to start off the fight with Knockdown Shot, and then once you have the machine knocked down, switch to Triple Notch for the rest of the fight. I've also experimented with dedicating a Hunter Bow just to Knockdown Shot, so I could use both it and Triple Notch throughout the fight, but it feels like a bit of a waste to essentially dedicate an entire weapon slot to this. I'm curious if you guys have any ideas on how to utilize Knockdown Shot more, so leave me a comment about that if you do. Okay, let's move on to what I think is probably the next most frequently used weapon, your Sharpshot bow. We have some great weapon techniques to pick from in the Infiltrator branch, but my top choice has to be Brace Shot. If you haven't already been using it, Brace Shot essentially lets you launch a rocket off your Sharpshot bow, and man is it powerful. On normal difficulty, you can one-shot pretty much all the small machines, but even on higher difficulties, Brace Shot is really strong. It's basically become a combat staple for me as much as Triple Notch, and I would highly recommend everyone use it. One of the most powerful ways to use weapon techniques is in combination with Valor Surges, and Brace Shot is a perfect example of that. Combine it with a Valor Surge like Rangemaster, and you'll be able to launch off super powerful shots that deal a huge amount of damage even to the toughest machines. Now, as much as I love Brace Shot, we do have some great alternatives. My second favorite Sharpshot bow weapon technique would be Double Notch, which lets you load 2 arrows on these bows. This is another weapon technique that combos really well with a couple of Valor Surges. One of my favorites is to combine it with the Power Shots Valor Surge to enable a few super high damage shots. The only downside I found with Double Shot is that the second arrow often goes flying off course quite a bit, so you can't be quite as accurate as you'd hope. Okay, up next, I want to talk about Boltblasters. Boltblasters are great for raw damage output, and they're much stronger than the Zero Dawn Rattlers they replaced. All the Boltblaster weapon techniques can be found on the right side of the Hunter branch, and my top pick, at least for now, is Spread Blast. We'll get back to why I say for now in a second, but Spread Blast basically lets you turn a Boltblaster into a shotgun that can pump out a bunch of damage really fast. Once again, we have an opportunity to do a Valor Surge weapon technique combo, this time combining Spread Blast with the Critical Boost Valor Surge. Critical Boost increases the frequency and strength of higher damage critical hits, and that's on top of the 2x critical hit strength Boltblasters already have. Layer this with first freezing a machine, and the amount of damage you can deal is actually kinda nuts. Keep a few weapon stamina potions ready to go so you can recharge your stamina and keep firing Spread Blast shots while the machine is still frozen. Now, I say Spread Blast is my favorite Boltblaster weapon technique for now, because I think Sustained Burst could actually be stronger, but it seems to be glitched with Critical Boost right now. Maybe it's just me, but whenever I use Sustained Burst in combination with Critical Boost, I don't seem to get any crits at all. The description for Critical Boost says it works with weapon techniques, and Sustained Burst is a weapon technique, so I don't really understand what's going on here. Maybe Gorilla thought this particular combo would be too powerful, or maybe it really is glitched and it's supposed to work. If that's the case, then I would keep an eye on this combo, since I think if it worked as it's supposed to, it could be even stronger than the Spread Blast Critical Boost combo. Okay, so you guys may have heard me say in some of my other videos that I've learned to like Shredder Gauntlets more and more. Shredders are tricky to get the hang of, but if you practice with them for a little while and get the timing down to catch the Shredder repeatedly, then you'll begin to see that Shredders are actually really strong. You can find all the Shredder Gauntlet weapon techniques down the right side of the Survivor branch, and I think the best one is definitely Triple Shredder. As you would expect, this technique allows you to launch 3 Shredders at once, which means 3 times the damage. Now, you actually don't want to use Triple Shredder multiple times in a row because you can only catch 1 Shredder at a time. And remember, you want to catch the same one 3 times in a row to get the explosive shot. So instead, you want to use Triple Shredder as your opening shot and then focus on catching 1 of them. The other 2 are just there to give you some extra damage on that opening shot, plus having 3 come back at you makes it easier to catch 1. Warrior bows are another new weapon in Forbbiden West, and we can find our weapon technique options for them in the Warrior branch. My top pick here is Spread Shot, which lets you fire 5 arrows at once in a horizontal spread pattern. Similar to using Spread Blast on a Boltblaster, Spread Shot can be used on a Warrior bow to dish out a bunch of damage quickly. And also like the Boltblaster tactic we discussed earlier, this is especially strong after freezing a machine and combos well with the Critical Boost Valor Surge. Now, the Burst Fire weapon technique is similar, but only fires 3 arrows at once instead of 5. The benefit is the spread is tighter, so you can be more accurate, but this is really only useful for smaller machines or if you're trying to concentrate damage on a particular component. Now, the interesting Warrior bow weapon technique is Melee Detonator, which lets you stick enemies with arrows that explode when you follow up with a melee attack. This one is actually pretty strong on smaller machines and at lower difficulty levels, but it doesn't scale well to larger machines and higher difficulty levels. But if you really like the melee playstyle and whacking machines with your spear, then you might like Melee Detonator. Alright, let's pick out a weapon technique for all my Spike Thrower fans. All the Spike Thrower weapon techniques can be found in the Machine Master branch, and my top choice here is definitely Splitting Spike, which allows a single spike to split into multiple spikes that rain down on the enemy and deal a bunch of damage. I think the most powerful way to use this is with explosive and advanced explosive spikes. If you like to use a blast sling in your loadout, then I think the best choice for a weapon technique here is Sticky Bomb, which is found alongside the other blast sling weapon techniques on the left side of the Survivor branch. Sticky Bombs in Forbbiden West aren't quite as powerful as they were in Zero Dawn, but they do still have a damage multiplier, only now it's dependent on having multiple bombs actually stuck to a machine at the same time. I'd say Sticky Bomb is moderately strong, but honestly the main reason Sticky Bomb is my top choice is because the other two techniques, Bouncing Bomb and Burst Dodge, are kind of hard to use effectively. Now you can use Sticky Bomb to deal damage, but I actually think it's more useful for applying elemental effects like Purge Water or Acid using something like the Corrosive Blastling. Okay, the last two weapons to cover are Ropecasters and Tripcasters, and these are easy because there's only one option for each and they're both found in the Trapper branch. For Ropecasters, we have Penetrating Rope, which allows you to fire off ropes more quickly and also enables you to attach ropes anywhere on a machine. Unlike in Zero Dawn, ropes don't penetrate machine armor by default, and you may have found Ropecasters frustrating to use if you didn't realize this. If you want a Ropecaster in your loadout, then I'd say Penetrating Rope is basically a necessity. As for Tripcasters, we get the Quickfire weapon technique. Now, I don't personally really use Tripcasters, but I have to say this is a really nice skill to have if you do like them. Basically, you can fire off tripwires in a single shot instead of setting down each end like you normally would. You just aim where you want the center of the wire to be and it will automatically be laid out for you. The downside is the wires are a set width, so if you want to place a really wide tripwire, then you still have to do that the normal way. Alright guys, so that's everything you need to know about weapon techniques. Hopefully I've helped you understand what they are, how to use them, and which ones are the best for each of the 9 weapon types. With 23 weapon techniques total and a bunch of other skills to learn and sort through, I know it can be confusing and easy to overlook things. So I hope this has helped you understand weapon techniques and pick the ones you want to use in your loadout. And remember, weapon technique Valor Surge combos offer some of the strongest combat tactics in the game. So as you begin to get comfortable with a few weapon techniques, try combining them with a Valor Surge to boost your play to the next level. If you'd like some tips on Valor Surges, then make sure to watch my video on them linked here on screen and in the description. If you enjoyed this video or if you learned something new, hitting that like button really helps me out. And if you feel like I've earned it, I'd love for you to join our community with your subscription. I'd also love to know what weapon techniques and combos you guys think are the best, so totally leave me a comment about that down below. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.